Welcome back all, this is Daz from Model Railway Techniques. That lovely footage that you're seeing there is from the gorgeous Go to Silverton Railway that I had the pleasure of riding late last year in Durango, Colorado, USA. So I've got plenty of footage surrounding that, so if you want me to put a video together to get a bit of inspiration for you narrow gauge modelers, please reach out and comment below. So up this week we got video number 2 in the series for DCC decoder installation. So this week I will show you a very quick and easy way to install the decoder in a DCC ready locomotive to defunk some of the issues that people might have from time to time. It really isn't all that hard if you sort of methodically go through it and you are careful in what you're doing. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to look at is how we're going to get into where the decoder sits on this locomotive. Now, I appreciate that every locomotive is sort of different, so I won't go into that too much on how you go into this particular model, because the one you might be doing might be a diesel, some sort of shunter is going to be totally different. But as you can see, this locomotive is quite long, so this comes also with a long range water tank as well. So in length it's over 12 inches long, so it's actually very hard to deal with, particularly when you've got articulating parts and the like. So what we're going to try to do is this particular model, there is a plug just in through here that I can actually disconnect the tender from the actual locomotive. This is where the motor sits, and there's a drive shaft that sits in between the locomotive cab here that drives the locomotive, because we're not only tender driven, we're also main wheels or drive wheels driven as well. So before we take this locomotive to pieces, what we'll actually do, we will have a quick message from my sponsor PCBWay.com. So over to you guys and girls, PCBWay.com. PCBWay offers a variety of services ranging from PCB production and assembly to 3D printing, CNC machining, in a variety of materials. If you do not have the correct tools for the job, you can quickly upload your Gerber file for a PCB and press enter and get a quote in no time at all. Then select your material, finish and other post-processing customization like PCB assembly, where all the components are added. If you are new to PCBs, their professional review team will review your file and notify you once they are good to be manufactured. This makes PCBWay a good option for your projects. Check out their awesome services in the link below and their offer to my viewers who support this channel.
A few moments later.
So now we've got the locomotive in pieces. This is probably a good opportunity to just, obviously, if you had any issues regarding, any maintenance, so probably give these gears a bit of an oil or a grease, I should say, and swap out any incandescent globes with LEDs if that's what you want to do. Now this locomotive is quite compact in regards to what I've had to do. It's had a plug that dealt with all the pickups and the motor wiring and all the lighting looms and the like. But then on the flip side, what we had was where the speaker located was. So on most of the locomotives I've got, the European ones, the speaker is always up in the main part of the locomotive, and this one's no different. So this one sat up in here. So this one doesn't have any markings on it, and I can't find anything in the documentation of exactly what the ohmage and wattage is. So I'm going to swap them out with one I know is going to be within the tolerances of the version 5 lock sound. So it's just a matter of soldering that out. We've got the other loom through there that'll go through to the 2 brown wires of the decoder there, and then we'll terminate all them off, solder them up, insulate them, and then we should be good to go. The speaker we're going to use is this little guy here. So this is a 4 ohm 1.5 watt speaker. Now in the last video I did go through what ohmage and wattage that we can go up to, so I'll put that up on the screen. So from memory it was up to 30 ohms and I think about 3 watts. Alright, so at this point we've got the plug back in now. You can see the little hole on that interface just there. Alright, so what that denotes is pin number 1, which on this particular decoder is the orange wire. Now at this point you can see we've got a lot of wires hanging around here. 2 are for the speakers, others are for other auxiliary functions which I'm not going to use, so I will terminate those back. Now, one issue with these 8-pin interfaces, we've got a fair bit of extra cable here. Now, go your hardest if you want to cut all that back, then terminate those all nicely. It's obviously a bit of work. I will show you a little trick that I use, but now all I'm doing here is just got 2 cables here from my test rig, the DR5000, and you can see the light there, so that we're in reverse here, and just want to make sure that we're all good regarding the orientation, the plug and the like. So at this point, what I've done, I've bundled all the cables up. Now I use this stuff called Kapton tape or something similar, so it's I'll just put that on there. So what that does, that's just going to neaten up all my cables so I don't really have to cut them back too much. It's not the stickiest of tapes, but what it does is, so Kapton tape, basically it's what they're saying on here in the intro web is it's a high temperature masking tape, which is used in used in the electronics industry. It's good insulating for circuit boards and etc. So it's saying to me that it can withstand up to temperatures of 260 degrees Celsius. So it's obviously we're not going to be getting that type of temperature here, but sometimes these decoders can get a little bit warm. So that's why I use the Kapton tape. I will put a link to that below. All right, so what we've got here, we've got it back together, so to speak. Now, this one was a little more challenging than I first thought it was. So the speaker cables that are coming up here now, it's a bit hard to show on video exactly what I've done here, but what it does, it comes in behind this flywheel here. So what you need to be very careful of is any wires that are going from tender to main part of locomotive, that they're not rubbing on any flywheels or any articulation in here. So I just use some flexible conduit. So this is just heat activated insulation. That'd be a few eighths of an inch there, and I just thread my cable through there, and I might super glue it to the circuit board or the bottom of the frame here, so I can run underneath this flywheel so I don't snag the flywheel. So obviously in time with the locomotive turning like this, one, we don't want the cable pulling through, and secondly, we don't want it rubbing and causing possibly a short out down the track. So as I said, every locomotive is going to be different in that regard, but it's just something to look out for. All the snag points, what you might get with your cable, particularly when you're putting sides and tops back on. So at this point in time, what I'll probably look at doing is just doing one more test. Now I've tested it with, so the sound and everything without the tender connected to the locomotive. Now we've got the worm drive here and the drive shaft, which is a bit hard to see. It runs through the cab here, heads through to the gearbox on the main locomotive, and then what it does, it obviously turns these main driving wheels. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to put this locomotive very carefully on its side. So the best way to do this is obviously I've made this little mount here, this little cradle I should say, that sort of keeps all your locomotive together. Just off camera up here, if I was just to go off to the left there, here is just a magnet that I've glued to that cradle. So the magnet, it comes in very important for when you take all your screws off. You can literally just stick them on there and you don't have to worry about them potentially coming off and losing them, which is probably the last thing you want to do. So what I'm going to quickly do here is I've got 2 cables coming through here, 4 from my DCC command station, and I'm going to put it on here. Let me run it over the top there. And we're going to bring up here the DR5000, and we'll set that going, which is good. We've got driving wheels here, which as you can see, so that's all good. We've got lights on the back, which is a bit hard to see. It's obviously in reverse. Just have a quick feel of the decoder there, make sure we're not getting any warmth there, which was good. And that speaker sounds a lot better than the one it was in before. Just some of the functions. Alright, so at that point also what I like to do, I like to turn the sound off and just hear it running just ever so slowly. Just, this is a locomotive, an older locomotive, so I can't spec too much in regards to this motor. Is a little bit noisier than my others, but I like to just have a listen, just if I can hear any strange noises that might be knocking on something, the cabling that I might be knocking on something I've rerouted, because effectively it's a bit hard to tell. The speaker, there's a little hollow just in behind the firebox here, so it's sort of sitting right up in there. Portion of this is the first thing obviously you take off. There's this little cap here that goes over the top of the coder and the like, so there's actually a fair bit of room under that, which is good. Often then you don't have that much room, you got to either do some billing out on occasions if it's not a DCC ready locomotive. So that's the end of this video, so thanks for watching. So as always, I have 3 questions. Now, number 1, what we'll look at doing is what sort of DCC installations have you guys and girls done of recent times? Have you done a full installation? This is obviously just like a change out of DCC decoders, being this is a DCC locomotive. Have you done a hardwired a DCC harness using something like Nick's Decoder Buddies or something similar? Number 2, and if so, what sort of decoders are you using? Obviously this is a Locksound ESU5 with the 8-pin plug. As we spoke of last time, there's a myriad of others like Soundtrax, Digitrax and all sorts of others, Zemo out there as well, that people might be using. And number 3, if there's any glaring areas of what I've done here, please reach out and I'll endeavour to right my wrong in a future video. So as always, if you can give it a big thumbs up if it's the sort of video that you like doing. Click that little bell icon to be notified of upcoming content. And also if there's any other comments below that that you wish to do, or other videos you might have, and any other videos you might want me to do. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Make sure you subscribe. Click that little bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos. Support us on Patreon. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at Model Railroad Technique.